The next concept is PAR, titled NHGRI Predoctoral to Postdoctoral Transition Award for Ethical, Legal, and Social Implications Research.
All right, thank you, Rudy. And so this one, I'll refer to this concept as the ELSI F99 for short. In review of the ELSI Research Program training portfolio, we know that fellowship opportunities for graduate students have been relatively limited. Currently, there are 2 ELSI T32s that are active, both of which are for postdoctoral training. In addition, since the start of the ELSI research program, we've received 10 NRSA predoctoral fellowship applications. These are F31s. And this set of application has had the lowest success rate of being funded compared to other ELSI fellowship applications we've received. During the last 10 years, the vast majority of fellowship applications we've received proposed ELSI research training have been for predoctoral support, suggesting an interest in and a need for funding at this early career stage. Graduate students with an interest in ELSI research careers can greatly benefit from multidisciplinary training or training from different disciplines, but it can be challenging to obtain departmental or institutional funding when shifting disciplines. With a limited number of graduate programs that are engaged in ELSI research formally, predoctoral funding with support for postdoctoral transition can benefit these students, and the NRSA F31 opportunity does not support career transitions. So we are proposing a new program announcement for an NHGRI Pre-Doc to Postdoc Transition Award for outstanding graduate students who are interested in ELSI research careers. The F99 has 2 phases. The first phase supports dissertation completion and support for transition into a postdoc with up to 2 years of funding for stipend, tuition, fees, travel, and institutional allowance. And then the second phase, the K00 phase, allows for up to 3 years of funding for salary, benefits, research and career development, activities, travel, and indirects. Research projects coming in for this could align with any of the ELSI research programs 4 areas, which are quite broad. And these 4 areas are different from the 4 that I described for BEAR. These 4 areas are on the ELSI research program website, and they include sociocultural structures and values, ELSI at the institutional and systems level, genomic research, and genomic healthcare. Applicants could propose an equally broad array of research methods and approaches, and we would release a 3-year notice of funding opportunity with 3 receipt dates, and this ELSI F99 would complement other workforce development efforts at NHGRI. This is a collaboration, this concept between the ELSI research program and the NHGRI training team. So I'd just like to thank them for their support in its development. We had 2 council members to open discussion here, Nancy, Cox, and Kyle. And let's start with Nancy.
Hi, thank you very much. That was a terrific overview of what I think is a really interesting program. The concept of the F99 to the K00, I think is an experiment really worth making. They haven't been as common as some of the other kinds of awards yet, but they definitely are drawing the interest of some really good students in my experience. And I think for that reason, because it is relatively new and might be a good way of attracting, especially those students who are most likely to stay in academia, making sure that you collect as much information on this program as possible is going to be helpful to others who may consider this mechanism. And so I know you guys are really good about collecting data sort of in all spheres, but this one I think is really really worth watching carefully for the kinds of students who choose to do it. The other thing so I actually talked to some students about these kinds of mechanisms, and I did get a little shaken by a couple of comments about, so does this, and will this create another year of payback agreement or no? And is this, and how do student loans work with these kinds of grants? I mean, I think you're deferred as long as you are still in training from paying back student loans. But I don't know whether there's any opportunities for getting into payback. I mean, my recollection is I could use some of my postdoctoral time to pay back on my pre-doc, but maybe that's not right. It was so long ago, I can't remember. But I think making sure that students know and understand from the get-go what all of those responsibilities will be for student loans, I think will be a good thing as well. But I'm very enthusiastic about seeing this go forward, because I think it's clearly of interest to some of the best students, and it's worth collecting good data on to see how it'll go.
Great, thank you, Nancy. And I think Deanna's come up to help with some of your questions.
Hi, Nancy. I'm probably less knowledgeable about the student loan payback, but it's my understanding as long as you're still in a training program, such as an MD program, you don't have to pay back your student loans. But the F99 K00 is not an NRSA program, and so the NRSA payback rules don't apply. We still use the stipend levels, but they're different. I mean, they're not an NRSA recognized program. So I don't think it increases the payback. As long as someone's already met their 12 months of payback, if they had 12 months of support and then 12 months of payback, shouldn't create a problem for them.
Thank you. And I think we can find out more about the loan deferment to confirm and make sure that that's aware, that applicants are aware of that piece. Thank you, Nancy. Kyle?
I thought those were really thoughtful comments, Nancy. I just have one minor thing to add, which is you correctly said, Rene, that I think in many cases, folks would be using this mechanism to effectively move from one discipline to another. Their graduate discipline is probably not going to explicitly be ELSI. I'm not sure that exists. And so, and as you know, many folks move from a sort of a disciplinary program into more of a medical school or other kind of like not specific discipline kind of department when making these this stage of transition. So was just thinking about, what would that look like? I know there are folks who sometimes train in sciences and genomics and then want to transition into an ELSI career, and maybe they have an aim in their dissertation that is an ELSI aim in addition to their genomics. So just thinking about how this program would sort of deal with that is just something to think about. I actually don't know, I don't have specifics to tell you, like you should say it this way or something like that, but I just think it's really important. There, if you think about outstanding folks in the ELSI field and the backgrounds they come from are all over the map, and you really get wonderful things being done by folks who came from areas that are maybe a little bit outside the norm. So I'd really love to see this mechanism be used to pull folks from those various fields into ELSI. And that's all I really have to say.
Yeah, no, thanks very much, Kyle. And I think applicants to this could come from any department, whether it be basic science or anthropology or political science or economics, philosophy, and move into any other area. Also, there was one other thing I was going to say in response to your comment, and I lost it. But we would make sure that applicants were aware of that ability to cross disciplines with this. Oh, The other point was in the latter part of what you had said is that, both the dissertation and the postdoc work would have to be ELSI related, and they would have to express some commitment to an ELSI research career. So the originating discipline isn't as important, I think, as that part that they're focused on ELSI research. Thank you. Yes, Lynn, sorry.
Oh, well, I share Nancy and Kyle's enthusiasm. And maybe I missed it, but I was just curious to know about how many of these awards would be made.
Yeah, did I have that on the concept? I think, these are relatively inexpensive, but we had a cap of, what was it, 200,000 that we were requesting for this. It should be at the bottom of the concept. But the actual, oh no, we didn't have an amount here. I don't think that's needed for a PAR, so my apologies. I don't think we have a specific number in mind in terms of the number of applications we would award, and it would be contingent on available funds.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, sorry for the mumbled response on that.
Other questions or comments from council? If not, excuse me, can I have a motion to approve the concept? Second, all in favor? Anyone opposed or wishing to abstain? Okay, thank you, Renee.
Thanks, everyone.